What is going on, party people? Welcome back to the Block Party. I am Voices of, and we are hitting you with the review for the season finale of Legends of Vox Machina. This is season 2. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and wait till the end to drop your comment so that, we can respond back and forth. Get all of my opinions, and then throw out all of yours that contradict mine or agree with me, because that's the best part about it. Again, I apologize. Allergies are going rampant in the state that I am in right now. We have had a drastic shift of like 30 degrees increase in a day, so my voice is a little raspy. Bear through it. I promise the content will still be there. First off, we're starting on episode 10. This is episode 10 through 12. We're going to do a little bit different today. I'm going to go through each episode, and then as a whole, I'm going to talk about the season, my predictions for next season, and what I'm really hoping for. Starting off, episode 10, the four that were stuck in the Fey realm, they decide finally to come back after they had got the vestige. So once they get back, they're looking for Whitestone. They're like, whoa, where the heck is it? They find out that Whitestone is actually cloaked right now from the Chroma Conclave, courtesy of Gilmore, who's just an awesome character. We jump back and forth. There's a little bit of interaction from the Council of Whitestone and Vox Machina, pretty much talking about like, hey, where's the rest of you guys? They were able to see the four, Vex, Vax, Percy, and Keyleth were able to see where Grog, Pike, and Scanlan were. So we jump back. Last we left off, Grog and Kevdak were about to duke it out. So they do. And Kevdak, being like 3 or 4 times his size, obviously is really overpowering Grog. It's not even a competition. Kevdak is beating him to a bloody pulp and actually takes him and impales him on a pike. Oh, that's actually kind of funny. Kevdak then figures out that he does have friends there, finds those friends, pulls them out. He's about to kill Pike, and then the best part about this episode, and these 3 episodes honestly, is you finally hear Grog, I would like to rage, which is his token saying. That's the thing that was always said with it. Grog says I would like to rage because he finally figures out at the beginning when the guy was beating him up and saying like, where's your strength come from? His strength comes from his friends. And he finally figured that out. It's kind of sweet, but Kevdak still uses the gauntlets and continues to just plaster them. Vox Machina, though, does show up and now starts to help to defeat Kevdak. It looks like they're winning for a while until Kevdak takes the upper hand. Vex grabs Grog in the locket, raises him up high, and then drops him out of it, and he slices Kevdak in half with an axe. Pretty epic, if I can say so. A great ending. That happened in the campaign because I've seen that clip, and that was such a cool clip in it. And with it, Grog was low on health in the campaign, so when he sliced through him, Matt had him roll for taking damage from falling, and he took just enough to go unconscious, so that's why he passes out at the end. Just a cute little detail that was added that really made it funny for those who had watched that. Grog then is able to take on the gauntlets, puts them together. The whole herd is like, oh, he's the leader now, but instead he hands it off to Zanror, and Zanror is actually Kevdak's son, who first tried to mutiny him. So now he's in charge. They decide that they're going to do an elaborate trap to get Umbrasil. And then at the very end, it looks like Scanlan and Kaylee are going to get some stuff going. Then Kaylee pulls a whole card out of her pocket, and she's Scanlan's daughter, which I knew he had a daughter. I didn't know if they would even put it in. I didn't know when in the timeline of this it happened. So this was shocking to me. My jaw dropped. I was like, okay, because at first I thought she was going to be somebody hidden or somebody that like did a face change or something and was going to transform into some monster, and no, she was just his daughter. Bonkers. Solid episode. The battle between Vox Machina and Kevdak was epic. So fantastic. I had 0 problems with that whatsoever. Now we're getting into episode 11. It jumps right back in with Kaylee and Scanlan. Kaylee is about to kill him, but instead leaves him with the burden of knowing that he now has a daughter. We see Vax start to follow like something from the Raven Queen, and then we are seeing that she's definitely seeking after him for something. There's a little bit of a build-up between Vax and Scanlan's relationship. Scanlan actually gives some decent advice to Vax, which is shocking. But Vax decides to go out on his own while the others are putting together the trap and the plan for taking Umbrasyl. Vex follows. As they get further, Vax goes into essentially like a Raven Queen church. Her patrons all usher him to this giant shrine of the Raven Queen. He goes into a pool of blood, has a conversation with her, and finally understands that he is supposed to be essentially the shepherd for the dead into the next step of the journey for their soul. Comes back and he is keyed in. He's actually happy again. He's not super edgy like he used to be with everything about it. Now we're going to pull in to the trap that was set for Umbrasyl. It was a great trap. However, it's a dragon. Their intelligence is up the wazoo. He doesn't step on the pressure plate, but Vex still makes it close on him. He only is there for about a round of combat. That's what it kind of seems like. Then breaks out of it. It goes invisible, which is now something it can do, and starts just spewing acid. Mows through a good chunk of the herd. Is essentially winning. And Scanlan comes up with a very smart idea. The sword that Kaylee tried to stab him with has this option where you turn it and it stays in that position. And so he got a cut on his chest from it. So he convinces Vax to go with him up the butt of Umbrasyl. When he gets into the stomach, he takes out that sword, clicks it. And I mean, when you're thinking about this, as a DM, if I were to give this type of item to a party and they do this, the rule of cool, 100%, because this was brilliant. And I think Matt even thought it was brilliant at the time. So turns it in the stomach of Umbrasyl, so that Umbrasyl, if he gets up, he has to cut through himself. Team's able to do a little bit more damage. However, Umbrasyl does get up and get away. He just lets it go through him. The episode ends with Grog on the back of Umbrasyl attached to a rope that's on his axe. Vex and Scanlan inside of Umbrasyl. Again, the action scenes in this are spectacular. The combat that they do, you can definitely see there's a lot of motion back and forth. Everybody's using a lot of different spell casting. Percy is using his sniper rifle as well as his 2 pistols. Although it doesn't end up in the favor of Vox, it still ends up in a really cool outcome. Getting into episode 12, Grog is dropped. So there's a little bit of back and forth. Grog tries to get up the rope a couple of times, then gets knocked back and forth. Umbrasyl slams him into a mountain, and somehow he ends up on top of Umbrasyl. So Umbrasyl pretty much like flicks him off. He smashes the gauntlets together so that he grows bigger. When he lands, he's in rough condition, so Pike uses a lot of her healing to heal him. Scanlan and Vex are able to cut the hole a bit bigger and then push themselves through so they don't get hit by any of the acid inside of the acid dragon. Then the team is all there together finally. They decide, even though we're hurt, let's go in. We have to fight Umbrasyl. Umbrasyl is in rough condition as well. Then we jump cut to Umbrasyl, and he has figured out a way of healing. I think it has something to do with the vestige that he has, the sword. Can't remember what the name of the sword is. There's a little bit more building on Pike and Scanlan's relationship, because Scanlan starts, he explains to Pike about Kaylee and his stress with it, and how he wants to finally start doing good, but he's not really sure if he can. It's pretty heartfelt. So Vax agrees that he's going to go in first because he's fastest, and Umbrasyl is like, ooh, you're alone, so obviously I'm going to go for your armor. Then the rest of the team goes in. Pike and Grog are left out because Grog is still in rough condition and Pike pretty much has all of her spells used. All of them start fighting back and forth. However, Umbrasyl is winning. So while he is about to pretty much kill off Vox Machina, Scanlan appears, doing great stealth rolls, obviously, pulls the sword vestige out, jumps up, stabs Umbrasyl through the eye, cuts it even more, and blasts this dude's face apart. It's epic. And they kill Umbrasyl finally. So now they have the sword vestige, the bow vestige, the Raven Queen's armor, and the gauntlets. So they have 4 vestiges. That's pretty crazy. We jump cut to Whitestone. They go back so that they can talk with everybody over everything. It is found out that Rayshawn, who is the other dragon, has taken over Keeper Yenon's body. Not for anything nefarious. He tells Vox Machina that he wants to help them because he thinks that Thordak is going insane, says that Thordak has ulterior motives. So we then see Thordak. He is collecting all of this because he has a horde of eggs beneath where he set his lair, essentially. And that is the end of episode 12, the end of season 2 of Vox Machina. As a whole, I think that this season did really well with conveying the agency of what needs to be done in regards to the vestiges. Those were essential because of how powerful these dragons are. I don't know what they're going to be able to do with Thordak next season, because obviously this wasn't ended, so the Chroma Conclave has quite a bit more to go through. I'm very excited for whatever they do next. I think there's going to be a little bit more build-up for Kaylee and Scanlan. I know something happens in the actual campaign that I don't know when it happens, so that might happen soon. I don't want to give away spoilers. I understand that was super vague, and I'm sorry for like piquing your interest, but I don't know if it's going to happen, so I'm not going to actually speak it. But if it does, I'll tell you guys that I called it, just so you know. I did like season 1 more. Season 1 just, I think, flowed better. I think it was because I wasn't familiar with the characters as much, so I was looking at it more from a Dungeon Master perspective. This one was a lot more narrative-based. There was still a couple of hints back and forth to some campaign things, but I feel like season 1 had more mechanics put into animation form than this one. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when I watch the show, I watch it as a DM because I want to enjoy that Dungeons and Dragons meets animated narrative kind of combination. So I still liked it a lot. If I would say season 1 got like a solid 8.6, 8.7 from me in total. This I would give probably about an 8.5 in total. Still one of the top tier shows when it comes to animation. I mean, it's one of the only things with Dungeons and Dragons related that's out there that's really good. The storyline is fantastic. The characters are great. The voice acting is amazing because it's literally voice actors who created this. But those are all of my thoughts, comments, and opinions on season 2 and the last 3 episodes of The Legends of Vox Machina. If you agreed with any of my takes, if you agreed with any of my theories, or if you have your own theories, put them in the comments. We want to hear from you guys. We are trying to build a community of just a bunch of nerds that love everything to do with anything that has to do with nerdiness. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.